Good morning, friends. So today we are doing tinctures, herbalism, apothecary, however you want to call it. And one of my favorite books is The Forgotten Apothecary. I love the contents within this book, and a lot of it is Amish based, and that is phenomenal. I have in the past used herbs for small things like a cough. What else have I used it for? For me personally, I've used it for cough, cold, and sinus issues. And I have used herbs for my husband for blood pressure, sleep, and other things. But I've been using those for years, for many, many years. But this apothecary book is new to me. I've only had it for probably 4 or 5 months. And some of it I knew I had been doing it for a while. But a few of them are brand new to me. And one of them is the Amish Ibuprofen. You can make it a couple of different ways. On the internet, you can do it as a tincture with alcohol, rosemary, and some dandelion petals. The Amish make it as a vinegar. You use homemade apple cider vinegar because sometimes they don't have access to vodka kind of things. Some of them do, some of them don't. But a lot of them will use homemade apple cider vinegar with rosemary, dandelion petals, dandelion leaves, and in here, dandelion root. And they do it in an amber jar and let it just kind of ferment in the apple cider vinegar. That is the way I'm going to make it today. My reason being is I want to provide some ways to make medical herbs if you don't have access to alcohol. If at any point in time during your entire life you don't have access to alcohol, you can make homemade apple cider vinegar with apple scraps and water. That's it. You don't need anything else. And it's a super simple way to make herbal remedies not using alcohol. So let's get started on making this Amish ibuprofen. All right, so I have my jar. And what you're going to want to do is put 2 cups of apple cider vinegar with 1 cup of fresh dandelion parts. If it's dried, it's a half a cup. Same thing for the rosemary. So I'm using fresh, so I need a cup, and I'm a little short, but that's okay. Not much. This is fresh. If it's dried, it's a half a cup. So you put that in. You'll need 1 cup of your dandelion. So I'm going to break up my root. And whatever I don't use, I am going to finish dehydrating, make it really nice and dry. So grab a couple of pieces of root. Some of the flower or the petals, the leaves. And then some of the petals. And I took these off of the body of it so that it has a harder time going to seed. The white part is the seed, but you can't avoid all of it. And I got so much dandelion right now that I'm not worried about it. I think I'll add another piece of root. And I'm just going to drop it in there. I'm going to put all of this into this jar. And now I'm going to put 2 cups of apple cider vinegar. I think I might use a funnel. All right, so now that it's made, I'm going to put the lid on and I'm going to give it a little bit of a shake. Because you want all of that to be submerged. Because it'll mold if it's not. So I'm going to give this a good shake. I can just barely see in this. And you'll want to shake this every day, or at least turn it over or swirl it so that you don't grow any mold. I might add a little bit more vinegar into that. Only because it truly is not really submerged. I'm going to add 1 more cup. Now give it a good shake again. Take the lid off. I'm going to wipe the lid. Don't use any metal. Don't use a lid that has metal on it because it will rust, and that's not a good thing. You can use plastic lids, but you want this to breathe for a little while, so you're going to use a piece of cloth and a rubber band. And you're going to put this in a nice, warm, dark area. If you don't have an amber colored bottle, then you want it in a very dark place. But I have an amber colored bottle, so I can actually just leave it here in my kitchen with my other items. But that is how you make Amish Ibuprofen. And how you use it, let me grab my book. So it says Amish Ibuprofen. How you use it is you do as I said, shake it and store it, and keep it in a cool, dark place or in your refrigerator for 2 weeks. Shake daily, and during this time the dandelion and rosemary will infuse their healing properties into the apple cider vinegar. Strain the mixture after 2 weeks through a piece of cheesecloth or like a piece of cotton. And make sure you squeeze out as much of the liquid out of the solids, and transfer it into a storage bottle with a plastic lid. And you can store it in the fridge or in a cool, dark location. This will last about 6 months with fresh herbs and 9 months with dried herbs. When you have a headache or a pain or you need any kind of ibuprofen, you take 2 teaspoons of this with a glass of water or your favorite herbal tea 3 times a day. All right, guys, the first of the Forgotten Apothecary infusion is done. We have homemade Amish ibuprofen. In about 2 weeks, I will give this a try and see if it actually works. And I'll give you an update on that. It's only fair I do an update, because if I make these and I don't give you an update, it's totally not fair. So I thank you guys for sticking with me all the way to the end and finding out how to make this. In a later video, I will give you an update on how well it works. So until next time, bye.